Welcome to the Perfectionism webinar. We are going to dive right in. We're going to be here for about 30 minutes. So grab your pen, grab your paper, pay attention, be here with me. I'm going to go quickly and I'm going to give you everything that you need. My name is Cami. I'm an intuitive life coach for perfectionists. And these are the three mistakes that I see most of my perfectionism clients making. I work with them for 6 months at a time, upwards of 2 years on their life and business. And I'm going to give you really easy mindset shifts that you can start implementing today. So number one, let's just make sure you know what perfectionism is and how you know it's you. Some people aren't even aware that they have perfectionist tendencies. So I'm going to give you a few ways for you to know. If you have thoughts often that you're not doing it right, you're not good enough, or that there is a right and a wrong way to do things in life, you are most likely a perfectionist. Now, some negative side effects that go along with this would be you get stuck in overwhelm, you get stuck in analysis paralysis, you maybe can't even start a project because it's too much, and you think, you know what, if it's not perfect, I'm just not going to do it anyway. I might as well not do it. Or maybe you're almost to the end of a project and you're worried about it not being perfect or good enough, so then you just can't seem to actually finish it. These are some of the ways that you could know that you have perfectionistic tendencies. Secondly, let's just talk about where perfectionism comes from. It comes from the way we were raised. Now, yes, we do have some genetic tendencies. I have a degree in molecular cell biology. I've been studying neuroscience and biochemistry and studying the brain for 20 years because I'm a nerd like that. And there is nature versus nurture, which means you're born with a certain personality type with some genetic tendencies, but then we have 50% of environmental impact. And typically I'm working with high achievers who were all stars. They were top of their class. They were straight A students. They had perfect attendance. And they had somebody in their life who raised them. So parent, guardian, grandma, teacher, coach, who taught them there's a right way to do things. Then they taught them how to be excellent. But really what they taught you was the only way to earn love and attention and positive regard is through doing things perfectly and doing things the right way. So I just want to say, if you're here, you're noticing perfectionism coming up for you, you're in the right place. We are going to knock it out today. I'm going to give you the solution with my 4-part perfectionism protocol I'll go over at the end. And then I'll also let you know how you can deepen this work with me if you would like to talk about working together one-on-one in a coaching container. So first, number one mistake perfectionists are making, and also I was about to say people pleasing. This will come up as a factor of people pleasing as well, right? You might be trying to do the right thing by everyone and you might end up people pleasing as well. So perfectionism and people pleasing do go hand in hand. But number one mistake perfectionists are making is you are beating yourself up. You are bulldozing yourself. So here's what this looks like. This looks like you're doing everything for everyone all day long. You work really hard. You come home from the office or you come home from working at home, and then you're doing things for your kids. You're doing everything. And you're also expecting yourself, well, now I have to clean up the house. Now the house has to be perfect. And you're causing so much stress and anxiety for yourself because you're trying to give 110% to everything. And then it leaves you feeling exhausted and resentful. And a lot of times you'll do a revenge bedtime, stay up too late, and start it all over again. So the solution to this, right? What's coming up for you is simply you're putting these really high expectations here. And a lot of times they're not even your expectations. They're just expectations of society. Like you have to be there with the kids and you got to show up in your office, or you have to show up as an entrepreneur. And you have to show up as a partner. You have to show up for your friends. And it's just giving this like I have to be everything to everyone. And so the way to fix this, right, the way to shift your mindset out of this is to actually allow yourself to release some things. So I like to use an example of the dishwasher. So a lot of times perfectionists, they won't ask for help and support within the home because they know that there's a right way to fold the laundry, there's a right way to put the dishes away, and their partner doesn't do it right and they get frustrated. And what I want to offer is, if you could practice just this week, letting go of the intensity with which you think there's a right way to do the dishes, and you just let your kids or you let your partner do them wrong. If you could let that go, then it's going to allow you to free up more time and energy for the things that you're really good at, which is usually showing up in your business or showing up as an expert in your work. So that's just one thing. Another thing is to start to look, if you could clear your entire calendar and you're like, you know what, if I was starting at scratch, if I was starting from zero, what would I take off? What would I put on? What's my dream calendar situation? And of course, everyone is going to have family obligations. If you got kids or you got places to be, you will have those obligations, but just start to notice, are there any of them that actually require you to be there? Or can you outsource some of that? Can your kid who's going to soccer anyway, can you and your kid's friend's mom, can you guys carpool and switch off taking them to practice? Just start to expand your awareness of where you might be able to delegate. And then let me just tell you this is what's going to come up for you whenever you start wanting to take things off. You're going to start to worry about what other people are going to think of you. But we have to stick to, what is it that you want to feel? Perfectionists are typically feeling high anxiety. They're not feeling a lot of rest and easefulness in their life. They're feeling like they're always hustling. There's no time for themselves. So let's just consider, if you would like to have more ease in your life, this is a way to do it. And you can start by making this simple shift this week. What can I let go of? What can I delegate? What can I just allow to be done imperfectly? Okay. All right. On to number 2. Number 2 is you only celebrate big goals. So you set really big goals. You want $1 million business. Yes, of course. Absolutely. I can help you get there. And also, what you don't do is celebrate the $100, the $10,000, the $5,000, the $1,000 that comes in. We want to celebrate, instead of just waiting until the big goal, yay, I did it, I made $1 million. We want to celebrate incrementally. And for you, this is going to feel really strange because you're like, no, I'm a high achiever. I go after big goals. But I want you to notice when we only celebrate big goals, and that's the only time we allow ourselves to celebrate, our celebrations are going to last maybe 24 hours. And I want you to consider, how often is it that you're actually reaching a big goal, maybe once or twice a year. So that means the rest of the time your nervous system is in fight or flight. It's extremely stressed. It's extremely exhausted, and you're not celebrating. This would be like if you're running a marathon and the whole time you're like, nope, I'm not going to say anything nice to myself until I get to the finish line. And the whole time you're running the marathon, you're like, oh, you better work harder. You're doing a bad job. Oh my gosh, keep going. Oh, you suck at this. Versus being like, 1 mile down. Good job. You're doing a great job. Okay, we're 2 miles in. Keep on going. You can do it. Stay right here with me right now. Right? The way you coach yourself to run each and every single mile is telling yourself you're doing a good job. You can do this. Just focus on what you're doing, one foot in front of the other. That's the same way you want to move forward on your big business goals or your big project goals. Okay. Now, let me just give you a simple little way to do this, because a lot of people don't even know what celebration means. They think, oh, I'm going to drink a bottle of wine. I'm going to buy myself flowers. That's not the way to do it. The actual way to do it is based on brain science by Dr. BJ Fogg. It is called Tiny Habits. And what it is a physiologic celebration. So here's how it looks. You can do it a bunch of different ways, but what we want is our body to be involved. So let's just say today I had a breakthrough with a client on a coaching call. I could put my hands on my heart and just say, oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing such a great job. Right? And I can just validate myself for that. Or let's say I made a Facebook post or wrote an email, something to do in my business. I could go, good job, and just pat myself on the back. Good job, you did that. You wrote that long email and you sent it out to your list. Good job. Or you recorded a video. You did a reel. Oh, yes, I did a reel. Just simple. Yes, you did it. Good job. That's all it is. It's simple. It's super easy. Okay. This actually recreates neural networks in your brain, neural pathways in your brain, and makes your brain more positive. If you are struggling with the pattern of perfectionism, it just means your brain is really good at going straight to the negative. And we can actually solve that by practicing celebrations where we teach our brain to go to the positive. So that is number 2. So number 1 was you beat yourself up. Number 2 is you only celebrate big goals. And mistake number 3, this is a big one. You think feeling your feelings is weak or it's a waste of time. So the reason why perfectionism shows up is because we're avoiding feeling feelings. So I want you to think about this. Underneath your big goal is you wanting to feel successful. So you set a big goal. I want $1 million business. You've probably attached to that $1 million business. Oh, that will finally mean I'm successful. I'm good enough. My parents will respect me. I've made it in the world. I'm contributing. And so you've placed so much attachment to your self-worth on getting this big goal So then what happens? Then what happens is we have fear of failure come up because you're like, well, if I go after the $1 million business and I don't achieve it in the amount of time I thought, then I must mean that I'm a failure. And I don't want to feel the feelings of shame that are associated with failure. So we have fear of failure come up. Then we also have fear of success come up. And fear of success is a little subtle because it actually makes us think people are not going to like us when we have all the money and we're super fit and healthy and we look great on the outside and we're spiritually whole and we're giving back and we're contributing to the world and our relationship's going great. We think that people won't like us when we have all these things going well for us. So a lot of times we'll end up self-sabotaging a part of that because we don't want to be kicked out from society where people don't like us because we're too successful. So we have fear of success coming up. We have fear of failure coming up. And so what happens? Your perfectionist brain comes along and says, hey, I know how to protect you from fear of success and fear of failure. Let's just take no action. Right? So this will show up as under action, where you're getting stuck in analysis paralysis. You're not knowing the quote unquote right way to move forward. And you're doing things to avoid and numb and distract yourself, right? So you might be doing things like procrastinating. And I think of this as a couple ways. You can procrastinate, right? You might just clean your house. You can procrastinate. So you might go get another certification. You might think you need to go back to school because you then think once I have the resources, once I'm smart enough and good enough, then I can take the action. Or you might procrastinate Canva, right? You might go into your Canva and make this perfect document in order to sell your new service to the world. And you spend 8 hours creating it because you're actually avoiding the fear of rejection that shows up when you actually put your offer out into the world. So this is what happens when we're having those fears and we under action. We're trying to avoid those feelings. The next thing we might do is we might overaction. So overaction is the underlying thought and feeling that we're not good enough. We ourselves are not good enough. And also imposter syndrome is tied into this. Imposter syndrome is essentially like somebody someday is going to find out, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And then I'm going to be exposed and they're going to know. Right? And so what overactioning is hustling, which creates to burnout. So this looks like trying to perfect your website, trying to get the perfect intro or outro to your podcast, like trying to write your copy, right? Whatever you're putting out onto social media, trying to write it perfectly, or trying to get your reels just perfect. And you're taking super long amount of time to get a reel out onto Instagram. This is when you start trying to make everything perfect in order to show the outcome, in order to feel better about yourself. So this is coming up because there's feelings that you're wanting to avoid. Now, I'm going to show you something. I wrote this book. It is called Happy Now, the Happiness Handbook for High Achievers. I wrote it in 8 weeks. I hired a book coach. It was one of the most challenging things that I've ever done in my life. But the way I was able to complete it was by deciding I'm good enough. When this book is done, it's going to be good enough. And I'm here to publish it. I'm here to put it out into the world. I'm here to help people. So my goal here is to help people and get it done. And I'm willing to feel all of my feelings that come up as I write and publish a book so that I can help people. So for you, how do you start feeling your feelings? What in the world? Well, I gave you something earlier where you can put a hand on your heart and you can do this again. It's really simple. If you're feeling fear, because you're building a business or you're taking your business to your next revenue goal or you're stepping on stage for the first time or you're writing a book or you're starting your podcast, I want you to just be with the energy of fear in your body. Take a few deep breaths, breathing in deeply. And just say out loud to yourself, it makes sense. Of course, I would be still feeling so afraid. I've never done this before. Oh, I'm creating something from nothing. This is scary. Yes. And I'm so proud of myself. Yes. That little simple moment of putting a hand on your heart and just saying, this is scary, it's okay, and I'm proud of myself. Those little moments of pausing. And a couple other things I work with my clients on is EFT tapping. So EFT tapping is when you go along these points. You say, even though everybody will reject me, even though I'm going to fail big time, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. even though I'm not good enough, even though they're all going to find out, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Right? And these are just a few of the energy tools that you can use along with breath work and some other energetic modalities that can help you shift the energy and shift your emotions. So you're very skilled at taking action. You're very skilled. You're very smart. You're very, very intelligent. You have advanced degrees, and the emotional stuff we weren't taught. So if you're feeling like, oh, I don't understand this emotional thing, it's not a problem. This is what I help my clients with. And you can do this starting today by just saying, you know what, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be present. I'm going to start to shift and start to feel into my emotions a little bit more at a time. It wasn't until I was about 31 years old that I actually learned how to feel my emotions. And I learned it from working with a life coach, going to a retreat in Bali. And then this is what I work with my clients with. So it's okay if you're not familiar with it, because there's no way that you're going to learn it. They don't teach it in school. Okay. They didn't teach it to you in college. But that's why you can pursue working with me in coaching, is to learn how to do this emotional sensation feeling in your body to create that safety to feel it. But the things that I gave you today, just using your breath, taking deep breaths, right? Calming the body down, closing the eyes, holding a hand on the heart, saying, of course I'm scared, but I'm so proud. That's something that you can start using today. All right, now we're going to move on to my solution. This is my 4-part perfectionism protocol that I've used after working with dozens of clients over the past 10 years. And step 1, take notes. You're going to want to take notes on this, because this is what I coach my clients on when we work together for 6 months. But I also want you to have it so you can understand what it is, just how simple it is. Step number 1, you're going to pause and take the pressure off. Pause and take the pressure off. So what this looks like is, if you have a big goal that you created for yourself, it's kind of like remembering you created the goal. Nobody else made it for you. You created it, especially if you're running your own business. So I recently had a client who says, okay, I want to post on social media 5 times a day, but she's new to social media. It's a new skill that she's learning how to do. And so when I was coaching her, I said, what would it feel like to just pause and take the pressure off of that? And to say, you know what, for the next 2 weeks, I'm not going to post on social media. Instead, I'm going to go network with people in person. And she paused for a moment. She said, oh, that feels really good. She said, oh, I feel relief. I feel relief. And she started smiling and she got some energy. And I said, okay, you have permission to do that, right? Like, you've granted yourself your own permission. That's the goal that you created, but let's just pause and take the pressure off and see if it shifts our energy. So that's step number 1. Now, step number 2 is reassess your goals or standards. So going along with this same example, her goal is to get clients. Her goal is to sign a client this month. And her way of doing it, her strategy was, well, I got to post on social media 5 days a week. That's what people tell me to do. But I said, what, could you sign a client by meeting people in person? And she's like, yeah, actually. And then I said, does that feel fun and easy? She's like, yeah, actually, I'm really good at that. And I said, could you go to a networking event once a week? She's like, yeah. And I said, great, let's do that. She rearranged her goal and set a more tangible goal for herself. So that is step number 3. Step number 3 is set a smaller goal. So she decided, after she paused and take the pressure off, she started reassessing her goals. She then decided in step number 3 that she was going to go to a networking event once a week. And that felt easy to her. And since it felt easy to her, she's more likely to do it. And she's not going to be stuck in that cycle of beating herself up, because that drains us. The time that we spend beating ourselves up is time that we could spend doing something really intentionally for our business or for our life or for our self-care to move us forward. Okay. And then most importantly, step number 4, celebrate. So after you set your small goal, you follow through on the small goal and you celebrate the small goal, right? Yes, I did it. Good job. This is a big part of what we do in coaching together for 6 months. Is at the beginning of every single call, I require my clients to come up with 3 wins, 3 things that they're doing well, the smallest things. And in the beginning of our 6 months of coaching, they have a hard time figuring out what the thing is. And then by the end of our coaching, within 6 months, they're coming with long lists. They're like, I have more things. And they notice that this builds momentum, this builds energy, it builds motivation, inspiration, creativity, ideas, actual manifesting physical abundance. And you would think that the opposite would happen, right? Because we've been taught, take massive action, do all the work, hustle all the time. And what's more true is the alignment, the telling yourself it's good enough, the taking small steps and celebrating them. That is what creates consistency. And then over time, consistency is what creates results in your health, in your business, in your relationship dynamics, in your wealth, all of it. So those are the 4 steps, perfectionism protocol. Number 1, pause and take the pressure off. Number 2, reassess your goals and standards. Just notice if you're making them ridiculously high and out of reach in not a good way. Number 3, set smaller goals. You want to set a goal that's easy for you to achieve. So for her, we just said 1 networking event a week, but let's say she goes to 2. Now she's an overachiever. Now she gets to really celebrate the fact that she went to 2 events per week instead of just 1. So we want to set the goal small so that you can overachieve it if you desire. You might want to do extra. That's okay. And then step 4, really, really important, is celebrating. Celebrating with those little physiological good job, slowing down to really anchor in, I am doing a good job. It is working. Especially if you're in business and you're in the first 5 years of business, especially if you're in the first 3 years of business, we know you've got to keep telling yourself that you're doing a good job, because the first 3 years, oftentimes you're putting in more time and energy and money into your business, and it will eventually reach a tipping point that will transition you into having more revenue, and you will grow it, but you have to tell yourself that you're doing a good job the whole way through. That is where I come in as an intuitive life and business coach. I help my clients continue to take action moving forward so that they can stay consistent and not have so many meltdowns. So what I say about business and really life in general is, we think starting our own business is going to bring this beautiful feeling of like, it's a miracle. I have a miracle. I've created my own life and my dreams and freedom. But what's really true is running a business is a multitude of mini meltdowns with moments of miracles. So what I want to get you to is having some mini meltdowns. But when we coach every single week, we coach on a call for 50 minutes every week for 6 months. What we do is we take you from that meltdown and we get you through it right there on the call so that you're able to regroup, reassess, and then move forward to continue reaching your revenue goals and serving your clients and customers. So just to give you an example of what this looks like in a coaching dynamic, I had a client who was working on his first $1 million in his business. It was the middle of the summer. He had had a down month, about $20,000 down. And it was a time where he was just feeling like, man, this is just getting hard. I don't know if I want to be in business anymore. And he was considering selling. And I was like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about pros and cons of selling your business right now. And we got through that entire month. We considered selling the business. I coached him to make his own decision, right? And what he ultimately came to was, I can do this. I have a solution. I know exactly what we're on here. I know how to fix it. But it was because he was able to slow down and calm down and feel those feelings and then assess which direction to go in, that he ended out the year at 1.2 million. But I want you to know, no matter where you are in business, if you're working on your first 100,000 or you're working on your first million, these things are going to come up, right? These challenges are going to come up. And that's why having an intuitive life and business coach, and let's just address the intuitive piece. I work in the energy field as well. So I'm highly skilled at business strategy. I have invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in mentorship in business strategy. So I help you with the strategy and the sales psychology, so you actually can sell your products and services. But then on the other side, I help you with the energy and the intuitive piece, because we want to work smarter, not harder. And a lot of times using our intuition is going to allow us to tap into that. So with this client specifically, we're able to balance him taking this action and moving forward in the business, and then him slowing down enough to use his intuition to actually manifest the right clients and the right partners and the right employees to come into his business. Okay. All right. So if you would like to consider working with me, here is how you do it. I've already told you we work together for 6 months at a time. If you are a business owner, I always like to say, give it a year of working together, because business, we got a lot to work on there, and that's okay. So I usually will work with my business owners for 1 year. But we start with 6 months, and then we can talk about renewal at the end of 6 months. We do 50-minute calls, and then on those calls, we always start with a celebration. Then in the middle of the call, you're going to bring your challenge, whatever you need coaching on. Sometimes you'll come to the call going, I don't even know what I need coaching on. That's not a problem. I can help you with that. I'm always going to help guide you to the call with the highest outcome in mind. And then at the end of the call, we're always going to take one action. You get to choose the action, so you have that accountability each and every week. And this is going to help you keep progressing and moving forward in your business. So investment wise, I know a lot of people will ask about investment. Since this is a recorded video, I won't talk about the investment here. Prices are changing. Programming does change from time to time. So reach out to me to book a free consult. We'll go over pricing on the call. You can head over to the website right here, CamiKennedy.vip. So if you go to Cami Kennedy, CamiKennedy.vip, this is going to take you directly to my consultation link. It's going to pull up my calendar. It's going to ask you a few brief questions, and then you will be booked in for a 1-hour Zoom call with me. Now, here's what happens on the consultation. You get 60 minutes, so make sure you set aside time and space to talk about your goals, to think about your vision, and to really take a moment to find out what's getting in the way for me right now. What are my challenges? We're going to do 4 things on the call. The first thing that we do in the beginning is you're just going to tell me everything. What's going on? Tell me all the things. Then I'm going to take you through an assessment. During that assessment, we're going to see where you're at, every area in your life, from health to wealth to money to relationships. We're going to talk about all of it. And then we're going to talk about where you want to be. So your 3-year vision, your 5-year vision, what it is that you want to be doing in the next 5 years. And I'm going to be taking notes, and what I'm looking for is patterns. I'm looking for patterns and challenges and opportunities that are in the way. And I'm going to give you your version of the perfectionism protocol and how it's going to work for you. What are the things that we would need to work on? What are the specific actions we would need to take? What mindset blocks are you maybe having some blind spots on? And at the end of the call, the last thing we'll do is we'll spend some time talking about whether it's a good fit to work together. So no matter what, I've had so many people come to the call just saying, wow, this was so insightful. People have never asked me these questions. I haven't even had time to think about the next 3 years. Thank you for allowing me the time and space to slow down and think about my life and my business and my relationship and my health and really decide what I want. And so the value is in sitting down, taking that time, a full hour just for yourself, having someone like me who's going to bring the intuitive energy, the biological background, also the business and sales background, and we're going to put it all together to make a plan that is going to work for you. So I will tell you this, spots are limited. Wait list is starting to fill up. So if you're wanting to work with me one-on-one, you will want to get booked in right now for a consult call, because I also, in the next few months, have a price increase coming. So you are going to get so much value on the consult. I cannot wait to talk to you. It's going to be amazing. And remember, you do not need to be perfect on the call. Bring your whole self to the call. You will not be judged. I promise you. There's not a thing that you could say that I haven't heard or haven't been through myself. The call will be fun. Even if we're talking about some heavy things, some deep things, you will come out feeling hopeful and fun, and you will know that you have a way to move forward. I work with such smart, amazing high achievers, and you're just too hard on yourself. That's all it is. So mostly my time with you is going to be telling you that you're amazing, you are good enough, and that we can really go after these goals in a very strategic way and in a way that's sustainable for you so that you can have ease and peace and the spaciousness that you want to have in your life. So head over to the link right now, CamiKennedy.vip. Book a free consult with me. I will see you so soon. Bye.